Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss our inspiring stories. Today we're sharing an incredible tale about Robert Downey Jr. and his driver Ramon that will touch your heart. Robert Downey Jr. is one of Hollywood's most beloved actors, famous not for his flashy lifestyle, but for his genuine humility and kindness. Behind the scenes of his busy career, Robert relies on Ramon, a man who has been his trusted driver for almost a decade. Ramon lives a simple life with his wife Louisa in a modest apartment in downtown Los Angeles. For years, he had been carefully saving every dollar he could, often skipping meals and working extra hours. This wasn't for a vacation or a new car. It was for something far more important: his wife's urgent surgery. One early morning, before picking up Robert for the day, Ramon visited the bank. In his hands was a brown envelope containing all his savings, years of hard work and sacrifice. He needed to withdraw the money to arrange the payments for Louisa's upcoming surgery. Ramon was nervous but hopeful as he waited for his turn. When his number was called, Ramon approached the counter with quiet dignity. The teller, a young man named Mark with neatly combed blonde hair and a dark blue tie, looked at Ramon with immediate suspicion. As Ramon explained that he wanted to withdraw his savings, Mark's expression changed to one of disbelief. "This whole amount is yours," Mark questioned, his voice tinged with doubt. When Ramon explained that he had saved it working as a chauffeur for his wife's surgery, Mark typed slowly into his computer, as if waiting for something to appear that would validate his suspicion. "Strange, a chauffeur with that kind of money," Mark muttered under his breath, loud enough for Ramon to hear. The comment stung deeply. Mark then claimed he couldn't authorize the withdrawal without verification of where the money came from. Despite Ramon's explanations, Mark refused to help. People in line behind Ramon began to stare, some whispering, others turning away in embarrassment. Humiliated and heartbroken, Ramon left the bank with his envelope of money still in hand. Outside, he leaned against his car, trying to hold back tears. He had a job to do. He needed to pick up Robert, but the weight of what just happened felt crushing. When Robert got into the car that morning, he immediately sensed something was wrong. Ramon wasn't his usual self. His eyes were red, his grip on the steering wheel too tight, and the comfortable silence they usually shared felt heavy with unspoken pain. "You okay, Ramon?" Robert asked gently. Ramon tried to brush it off as just a headache, but Robert persisted. "In the 10 years you've been driving me, you've never once bothered me with anything personal. Today's not the day to start thinking you would." Finally, Ramon opened up about what happened at the bank, how the teller had questioned his money, made him feel like he didn't belong, and refused to help him. Robert listened quietly, his expression darkening as Ramon shared his experience. "Did you get the money?" he asked. When Ramon shook his head, Robert asked for the teller's name: Mark. The next morning, Robert surprised Ramon by asking to be driven to the same bank. During the ride, Robert shared something personal: how when he was younger, before his success, he faced his own struggles. People would look at us like we were less, like we didn't belong in certain places just because of how we looked or how we dressed. When they arrived at the bank, Robert went inside while Ramon watched from the car. The moment Robert walked in, people recognized him. Phones appeared as customers began recording the unexpected celebrity sighting. Robert calmly asked to speak with Mark. When Mark appeared, his face lit up at seeing the famous actor, but his smile quickly faded as Robert asked him a pointed question. "Would you have treated a man in a suit the same way you treated the one who came in here yesterday with that envelope?" The entire bank fell silent. Mark couldn't answer. "I've seen a lot of performances in my life," Robert continued calmly, "but yesterday's wasn't one of them. That was real. You made a judgment based on nothing more than appearance." Mark tried to mention bank procedures, but Robert cut him off. "This isn't about procedures. This is about dignity." Robert went on to tell everyone there about Ramon, how he had been his driver for almost a decade, always showing up early and staying late, treating everyone with respect. "He's not just my employee, he's my friend, and what you did to him was unacceptable." The bank manager appeared, trying to move the situation to his office, but Robert refused. He wanted to finish what he started right there, in front of everyone. "That envelope," Robert explained, contained every dollar Ramon had saved for his wife's surgery, Years of sacrifice. Do you know what it means for someone like him to walk into a place like this, trusting that they'll be treated fairly? Looking directly at Mark, Robert asked, would you have questioned him if he wore a suit? If his skin was lighter? If he had a different last name? Mark's silence was telling. That silence tells me everything, Robert said. Through the glass doors, Ramon had been watching the entire exchange. Robert walked toward him, saying loud enough for everyone to hear, he's my driver, but he's also my friend. And what happened here, that ends today. Weeks later, Mark visited Ramon's apartment. He came with a handwritten letter of apology. In it, he revealed that his own father had been a chauffeur who died while working. I think I hated that he was just a driver, until I saw you and realized I'd become the kind of man who would have humiliated him too. Ramon invited Mark inside. For the first time, Ramon shared his full story about growing up in a small village in Mexico, crossing the border for survival, not riches, meeting his wife Luisa, raising their daughter, and the daily struggles and sacrifices he made along the way. Mark listened without interrupting. I judged you, Mark admitted afterward, because I never made peace with my own father, because I never let myself believe men like him, like you, could be anything other than shadows in someone else's story. The next day, the bank announced a new program called Empathy in Practice, a required training course for all employees, developed with input from community leaders and real stories. Ramon's was the first one included. When asked if they could use his story, he simply said, if it helps someone else be seen, use it. The video of Robert's confrontation with Mark spread online, but Robert refused all interview requests. This isn't a movie, he said. It's someone's life that deserves more than headlines. Several months passed and Ramon's daughter graduated from nursing school. Ramon and Luisa sat proudly in the front row, and sitting quietly in the back, wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap, was Robert. After the ceremony, before leaving, Robert whispered to Ramon, sometimes silent kindness changes more in this world than any scene I'll ever shoot. Life gradually returned to normal. Ramon continued driving for Robert, Luisa recovered from her surgery, and their daughter began working as a nurse at a public hospital. Mark wrote to Ramon again, sharing that he had started therapy to understand his actions better. You reminded me of my father, and that terrified me. Thank you for forgiving me when I didn't deserve it. You changed something in me. Not just how I see others, but how I see myself. The bank's empathy training program held its first graduation, with Ramon as the final speaker. He didn't speak as an activist or try to be dramatic. He simply told his truth. And Mark stood in the audience, not ashamed but proud that he had changed. One Sunday, Ramon sat with his daughter on a bench near her hospital. Do you ever wish things had happened differently, she asked him. After thinking for a moment, Ramon replied, no, because sometimes it takes being broken in front of people to show them what was always whole inside you. Just then, they spotted Robert walking alone on the other side of the street. Ramon raised his hand in greeting, and Robert nodded back. Before turning the corner, Robert called out, sometimes a quiet kindness does more than the loudest action. In that moment, Ramon knew that although the world hadn't completely changed, he was no longer invisible. His dignity had been seen, his humanity recognized, and sometimes that makes all the difference. That's it for today's story, guys. I hope this reminded you that sometimes the quietest acts of kindness can make the biggest difference. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming stories just like this one. Until next time, thanks for watching.